Focaccia di Recco is a really thin flatbread filled with a creamy, soft, tangy Italian cheese. This recipe comes from the Liguria region of Italy, and it is actually a protected recipe, so any recipe made outside of that region is technically called focaccia col formaggio. Let me show you how to make it. Into a food processor, add 400 grams or 3 cups plus 2 tablespoons of tipo 00 flour. You could also use a strong bread flour. I would not recommend all-purpose for this recipe. This is so important because we really need those glutens to develop and we need the dough to be strong so that we can roll it really thin. Then add in 40 milliliters, 2 3/4 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil, 10 grams, 1.5 teaspoons of salt, and 250 milliliters, 8.5 ounces, or just over 1 cup of room temperature water. Now blitz it together. I'm doing this in my food processor because it takes way less time to knead this dough, but you can easily do this by hand or in a KitchenAid mixer as well. You'll just need to knead it for about 10 to 15 minutes until the dough is really soft and pliable. Once the dough pulls away from the sides of the bowl and forms a solid lump, that's when you know it's done. If your dough is still feeling a little bit too sticky, go ahead and add in a few tablespoons of flour, one at a time, until it's a nice consistency. It should stick a little bit, but not too much.
To make sure it's fully kneaded, dust some flour on your work surface, turn out your dough, and give it a few quick kneads.
The food processor has done most of the work, but I just like to feel the dough in my hands and make sure it's the right consistency. You can see just that little addition of the bench flour has made it just a little bit smoother and easier to work with. Wrap your dough in some cling film or place it in a bowl and cover it. Let the dough rest for 2 hours. This allows all of the glutens to settle so that when we roll it out nice and thin, it doesn't rip apart. You'll want to spread olive oil all over your pan. This will help with the crispiness of the base of the focaccia. It also makes sure nothing sticks. Traditionally, this is made in a 12-inch round pan with a little lip on it. That helps to cut off the edge of the focaccia. But I'm not about to go out and buy a new pan that I don't already have, so I'm just using a quarter baking tray instead. Now set that aside while we roll out the dough. Give your work surface another dusting of flour, and then turn out your rested dough. You can see just how soft and supple it is now that it's rested. Because this focaccia is 2 layers, we're going to cut this in half and set 1/2 aside while we roll out the bottom. You'll want to roll this to the shape of your pan. So if your pan is circular, make sure you're spinning your dough in a circular motion while you're rolling it out. But mine is rectangular, so I'm going to form it into a bit of a square and then start rolling. And I do like to make sure it's flipped so that there's flour on either side. And continue to move the dough while you're rolling so that it doesn't stick. You can add more flour to your work surface if you need it. Because this dough has to be really thin, it's not so bad if it sticks a little bit to the work surface. It kind of helps to give it that pull. So don't overflour is what I'm saying. You almost want the dough to be see-through. Place your dough over the pan and use the edges of the pan to help stretch it out. You want the dough to overhang. And don't worry if you get a few little tears, we can just patch those up. The traditional recipe uses a stracchino cheese, which is a soft, creamy, tangy Italian cheese, but it's kind of hard to find, so here are a few substitutions. The easiest substitution to find is probably just a cream cheese, or you could use the little laughing cow triangles. They're a similar texture, but not quite as tangy in flavor. You could also use a grated taleggio cheese, which will give it a little more intensity, or you can use a soft camembert, just the inside part, not the skin. Drop dollops of your cheese onto your dough. I'm using about a teaspoon per dollop. And you want them fairly close together, but just a little bit of space in between so there's room for it to melt. I sort of start in the middle and then work my way out. Set this aside and roll out your other piece of dough.
Just like with the bottom piece, you want to roll this out really thin. So dust your surface really well with flour and even dust the dough a little bit. You don't want it sticking to the rolling pin, but you want enough stickiness that it will help to spread the dough out. Keep rolling into your preferred shape until it's the right thickness. You want about 2 millimeters here to be able to see your fingers through it. Once it's rolled out, my preferred method to lifting dough is rolling it back on my rolling pin, and then I unroll it over top of that cheese layer. Pinch all of the edges together so that they really seal well.
With floured fingers on the inside rim, just give the dough a little squeeze so that the top and bottom layers come together. And if it sticks to your fingers, just add a little bit more flour so that the dough sticks together, but not to your hands. Just go all the way around the edge of your focaccia. Then trim off your excess dough. And if you see any little gaps in your dough, just go back and squeeze it back together. Brush the top with a bit more olive oil. This will give it a beautiful golden color. You want to be a little bit delicate when you're doing this bit. We don't want to tear into the dough. Sprinkle with a little bit of salt. This part's optional, but it just adds a little bit more flavor. And then pierce a few holes in the top of the dough. This way, if there's any air inside, it can escape without bursting the dough.
And into the oven.
You want your oven to be at the highest temperature possible. 500 degrees Fahrenheit or 260 degrees Celsius is ideal, but most kitchen ovens don't go that high, so just go as high as you can. I've preheated my oven with a baking stone inside. This helps to make sure the bottom stays crispy, but if you haven't got one of these, that's okay. It will still work. You just might have a little bit of a softer bottom. This will need to bake from anywhere from 5 to 15 minutes, depending on the temperature of your oven. If you're using, say, a wood fire oven, that can go up to that 260 Celsius or 500 degrees Fahrenheit, it should only take about 5 minutes. But if it's a little bit cooler, say 400 degrees Fahrenheit and 200 degrees Celsius, it may take the full 15 minutes. What you're looking for is a beautiful golden brown all across the top. If it still looks a little bit pale, just leave it in for another minute or two, but keep an eye on it. While it's still hot, I like to carefully slide it onto a cooling rack to ensure the bottom stays crispy. I find the best way to cut this is with a pizza cutter. You can see that gooey melted cheese on the inside. The bottom is nicely browned as well. You can eat it as a snack just like this, or on the side with a salad and some chicken or some fish. It even makes a really great sandwich bread if you just open it up and pop some meat and vegetables inside. If you haven't yet delved into the world of sweet focaccia, you have to try my apple fritter focaccia. It is out of this world. Let me know in the comments below your favorite type of cheese and what you think you'll be able to use for this recipe. And if you found this video helpful, please hit the like button while you're down there because it helps YouTube push the video out to other people like you. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.